Imagine a land bathed in the golden light of the Mediterranean sun, a land where ancient olive groves whispered stories of generations past. This was Palestine before the Nakba, a vibrant tapestry of life, culture, and tradition. Families tilled the fertile soil, passing down their love for the land from parent to child. Cities hummed with the energy of commerce and community. Life, in its simple joys and sorrows, unfolded under the vast Palestinian sky. The Nakba, Arabic for catastrophe, would shatter this world forever. It remains a deep wound in the Palestinian collective memory, a reminder of the brutal uprooting and dispossession that continues to shape their identity. To understand the Nakba, we must first journey back to the late 19th century, when the seeds of conflict were sown. In Europe, a new political movement was taking root, Zionism. Fueled by centuries of anti-Semitism and discrimination, Zionism sought to establish a Jewish state in Palestine. This land, sacred to Jews as their ancient homeland, was already home to a thriving Palestinian population. Yet, driven by a potent mix of ideology and desperation, Zionist organizations began purchasing land and encouraging Jewish immigration to Palestine. These early settlers, often escaping persecution in Europe, saw Palestine as a land of promise, a place to build a new life. However, their arrival brought about a gradual shift in the demographic balance. Tensions between the existing Palestinian population and the growing number of Jewish immigrants began to simmer, setting the stage for future conflict. World War I dramatically reshaped the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East. Following the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, Great Britain gained control of Palestine under a mandate from the League of Nations. Tasked with preparing the region for self-rule, Britain found itself caught in the crosshairs of competing claims to the land. The Balfour Declaration of 1917, a single paragraph in a letter from the British Foreign Secretary, further complicated matters. This declaration expressed British support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine, while simultaneously promising to safeguard the civil and religious rights of the existing non-Jewish communities. This ambiguous and contradictory policy, coupled with increased Jewish immigration, fueled Palestinian fears of dispossession. Tensions escalated, erupting in periods of violence throughout the 1920s and 1930s. Section 4. A Land Partitioned, the 1947 UN Plan and its aftermath. By the end of World War II, the situation in Palestine had reached a boiling point. The horrors of the Holocaust added a tragic urgency to the Zionist cause, leading to international pressure for a solution. In 1947, the United Nations proposed a partition plan, dividing Palestine into two states, one Jewish and one Arab. Jerusalem, a city sacred to both Jews and Muslims, was to be placed under international control. The plan was met with mixed reactions. While Jewish leaders reluctantly accepted it, Palestinian Arabs vehemently rejected it. They saw it as a betrayal, an attempt to strip them of their homeland, their history, and their future. The proposed Jewish state encompassed a majority of the most fertile land, leaving the Palestinians with fragmented and less desirable territories. With the UN vote, the fragile peace in Palestine crumbled. Section 5. The catastrophe unfolds. Violence, displacement, and the birth of a refugee crisis. As British forces withdrew from Palestine in 1948, civil war erupted between the Jewish and Arab communities. Paramilitary Zionist groups, better armed and organized, unleashed a campaign of terror and expulsion against the Palestinian population. Massacres, like the one in the village of Deir Yassin, where hundreds of unarmed civilians were brutally murdered, spread fear and panic. Over 700,000 Palestinians were forcibly displaced from their homes during the Nakba. Driven out by fear, violence, or the threat of violence, they became refugees in their own land. Villages were razed to the ground, their names erased from maps in an attempt to obliterate any trace of Palestinian presence. The Nakba was not a war, it was a campaign of ethnic cleansing, a deliberate and systematic attempt to erase a people from their land. Section 6. A legacy of loss, resilience, and the right of return. The Nakba did not end in 1948. It continues to this day. Millions of Palestinians remain scattered across the Middle East and beyond, living in refugee camps, clinging to the hope of return. The right of return, enshrined in international law, remains a cornerstone of the Palestinian struggle for justice and self-determination. The Nakba is not just a historical event, it is a living reality. It is the story of families torn apart, of homes lost, and of a people denied their fundamental rights. Yet, despite the trauma and displacement, the Palestinian spirit remains unbroken. They continue to resist occupation, to demand their rights, and to keep the memory of the Nakba alive, a testament to their resilience and their unwavering belief in the possibility of a just and lasting peace.